Well, Mr. Mains, who was a warden at the time, fortunately took a lot of advantage of me anyhow, and used to get me to indulge in sexual activities, to which I was very objectionable, but felt under pressure to cooperate with him. He knew everybody in the government departments, and he just had a way with people.
There is a saying in Northern Ireland that everybody refers to somebody else as your man. And I believe that this will be accepted by all the people of Northern Ireland as being us. I think he represents all of us.
I approached Dr. Paisley on at least 7 occasions. I asked him time and time again what he intended to do about this. My concern all along was very much for the fact that there were young boys under the threat of this man's corruption.
I maintain that she never mentioned Mr. McGrath's employment in Kilcora to me.
It appears that even the army knew about William McGrath, one of the convicted men who was supposedly the leader of an extreme Protestant group called Tara. But they might have had their own reasons for keeping quiet about his homosexuality.
One rumour, which has been rife for some years in loyalist circles, is that McGrath was possibly passing information to the army. If that was the case, then there is the possibility that the army knew exactly what McGrath was up to, but they weren't going to tell the police because they didn't want to blow McGrath, and they wanted to keep their valuable informer.
This is my investigation. It's not a public inquiry.
We were not the kind of inquiry that could pursue criminal investigation. And when it became apparent there was still a considerable criminal element to be investigated, we told the chairman that we didn't think the inquiry could continue in that shape.
I go checking out the reports, digging up the dirt. You get to meet all sorts in this line of work.
Anything in the automobile business is a high risk unless you have the $1 billion a year that the British government is willing to pour into Leyland behind you.
Who broke my heart? You did. Hold to the target, blame Cupid. You think you're smart. Stupid. Shoot that poison arrow through my heart. Shoot that poison arrow.
What's the feeling inside?
Looks like the factory shutting, actually, the feeling, you know.
Total disaster for Northern Ireland, completely, you know. There's just no work at all available, and some of the fellas have had big mortgages will not be able to pay it, you know.
Love on arrival, she comes when she comes, right on the target, but wide of the mark.
People be in poverty, that's the only way to put it. They'll be on the dole and assistance and stuff like that.
There's an unheard refrain, so lower your sights. Yeah, but raise your aim. Who broke my heart? You did.
I'm looking forward to 4.5 to 5 years stable government in the new dawn.
Shoot that poison arrow through my heart. Shoot that poison arrow. Shoot that poison arrow through my heart. Shoot that poison arrow.
you sing this lovely old song of praise. I will sing of
The most filthy campaign that I have ever been in since the Unionist Party printed photographs of Hitler and
is that Britain be encouraged to seek more positively and persuade more actively a change in attitudes and outlooks which would pave the way for unity and so enable her final withdrawal from Ireland to take place with honour and dignity.
I just think that the time has come when the people of Northern Ireland are going to wish to come together, certainly in a forum, a political forum to start with, and then move on from that.
This initiative has more to do with the political future of James Prior than it has with the political future of the people of Northern Ireland.
People who were encouraged to go for devolution, press for devolution, have been in fact double-crossed by the government. They've been cheated because they've been given not devolved government, but a talking shop, elected forum, an elected assembly with absolutely no power.
Mr. Prior, it's been suggested that he has raised £15 million. Is that going to be enough, and can you match that?
This is a matter for Mr. DeLorean to decide, not for me.
So there is no more government money?
There is no more government money.
Fantastic. And the Embassy World Snooker Champion for 1982 is Alex Hurricane-Higgins.
BBC cameras filmed a ceremony on a rooftop nearby, the car bomb went off.
I noticed that the fans here have plenty of Ulster flags. We've heard reports that some of the soccer programmes over there have got tricolours on them. You're hardly likely to buy any of the programmes.
Well, I don't think we will worry about tricolours or Northern Ireland flag. I think we're just going for the football and we're not worried about anything political.
He is striding away there with Hamilton to his right, Norman Whiteside up on the far side of the area. Still Billy Hamilton, he's got past Tendilio. Northern Ireland have scored through Jerry Armstrong.
What were those last 45 minutes like for you on the bench?
They dragged, I'm telling you. When Mal went off, they absolutely dragged. We had to bring Tommy Cassidy in for McElroy. We had to bring Sammy Nelson into a semi-left half position because young Norman was running out of energy. The skipper here kept going. Jerry was marvellous, a lovely goal. Pat was super in goal. They all did marvellous.
Oh, Jimmy Nichols in here. Right across it. Can Hamilton finish it off? It's a goal.
Well, naturally, as an Ulsterman, one welcomes the fact that the team has done so well in the competition so far. They've enjoyed considerable success and they've brought great credit to the province, and we welcome that. But we do deeply regret the fact that the next game is being played on the Lord's Day.
For in a country normally divided by political and religious differences, the team's success has been cheered on by people on both sides of the sectarian divide.
Let's give us something to be proud of. You know, with the troubles and all here, like, you know, and then Northern Ireland qualifying for Spain, going to a quarter-finals.
A grandiose setting for an assembly with less power than a parish council. There's loving care for this mothballed monument to loyalist supremacy, but no such help for the prior initiative itself, now given the kiss of death by the SDLP's vow never to sit in Stormont again.
It's a recipe for a dangerous talking shop. It will fail in the way everything else failed. We told him this, by the way, before he published his proposals.
They're not holding a veto over the Assembly. What they would be holding under those circumstances is a veto over cross-community support leading to a devolved government.
Does that mean then that Sinn Féin are definitely going to contest these elections?
Yes, we intend to contest the Assembly elections, and we intend, when elected, to abstain from those seats.
Well, after 4 days, I began to get scared of being arrested myself by the RUC, so I went to stay with friends.
But your mother did make an appeal for you to get in touch with her. She was dreadfully worried, wasn't she?
I wrote to her.
Have you been in touch with her now?
No comment.
This assembly can be the start of the open doors of Stormont and the start of a long slog back to peace, prosperity, and progress.
If you want your new assembly to work properly, vote Alliance and make it work.
If this doesn't work, what Secretary of State, what government would consider any new initiative in Northern Ireland in the foreseeable future? The answer is nobody would.
In the Catholic community, a struggle between the SDLP and the Provisional IRA's political front Sinn Féin. Amid the graceless concrete of the Divis flats, Sinn Féiners are on safe territory. The IRA go on murdering innocent people. Sinn Féiners defend this carnage as necessary to get the Brits out. Gerry Adams is behind this ballot box in one hand, rifle in the other paradox. What about the violence within the election campaign itself? For instance...
There's violence there. That's violence. There's armed men. Now, how would you like armed men like that to walk up your street?
But surely that's a routine patrol.
It's an armed man. How would you like an armed man to walk up your street?
But they would represent, they would argue, the forces of law and order.
How would you like your viewers now to like me to walk up their street with a rifle over my shoulder, right, and have the right to say, what's your name, what's your address, I'm bringing you to the barracks, strip off, right?
All around me are familiar faces, worn out places, worn out faces, threatened to live for their daily races, going nowhere, going nowhere. My tears are filling up their glasses, no expression, no expression. Have my head, I want to drown my sorrow, no tomorrow, no tomorrow.
We challenged James Pryor to stand in West Belfast on the basis of British guns in Ireland, and he refused to do so. The media can make any interpretation they want of our victory in West Belfast. I don't see it as a personal victory. I see it as a victory for the Republican struggle, and not as a personal victory for me. I'm only an individual who was representing Sinn Féin in this election.
They're not just involved in violence and murder, but they're actively involved in both.
Well, Mr. Rees should name names. Mr. Rees is a failed politician. He's an idiot who came to this country, right, and left this country a failure.
To have a gun makes you a strong man. To be in an organization that has a gun on the one hand and also elected on the other is a most significant step.
And democracy is something that the Northern Irish appreciate and understand, and they haven't had it for a number of years in a true form, and that's what I'm trying to get back to. It'll take time, but to go on just as we are was a policy of despair.
In a call to a Belfast newsroom, a man said Mr. Donegan's life is in the IRA's hands. If they murder the UDR sergeant kidnapped in South Armagh, then Mr. Donegan will die too.
I hope that if Mr. Coughlin's still alive, and it is my daddy who's dead, still release him. Because I'm sure Mrs. Coughlin is very upset hearing this news as well as we are.
Good morning, miss. Can I help you, son? 16 today, and up for fun. I'm a big boy now, or so they say. So if you'll serve, I'll be on my way. Welcome to the house of fun. Now I've come of age. Welcome to the house of fun. Welcome to the lion's den. Temptation's on his way. Welcome to the house of It's just a rumor that will spread around town. A telegram or a picture postcard.
All the men were IRA suspects and 2 were on the run from the police and had been in trouble before. No weapons were found in the car. This fact and the hail of police bullets in which the men died has angered some nationalist politicians who want an inquiry.
No evidence whatsoever of minimum force being used to apprehend them, yet they were shot, riddled with bullets at very, very close range.
With all the will in the world, diving for dear life. When we could be diving for
They're not getting any photos.
Most unionists, at one and the same breath, are glad to see Haughey away because of what he is, but regret that he's away because he was a very easy target to identify and a bogeyman whom we could point out to our electorate. It's a bit more difficult to do that with Gareth Fitzgerald.
Why?
Because Fitzgerald is the acceptable face of republicanism. The soft voice, soft sill, but perhaps much more dangerous.
We've been told by British politicians for the last 10 years that the men of violence have no support in the local community. Now we're told that these people who have won election should be ignored. I think that's nonsense.
Your sister was hurt in the bomb, I believe.
She was indeed, yes. The minute she's in intensive care in Abnegaham.
We are trying to return Northern Ireland to normality. And how can you keep troops bottled up the whole time and civilians bottled up the whole time?
We're appalled and horrified at the murderers in Ballykelly. We're determined to try and see that anything we can do to bring ahead the date when we can see peace in Ireland and peace on the streets of London, we will do. And I can't see any way that this government is going to achieve peace by refusing to talk to the different parties involved in Northern Ireland.
A little loving, a little giving to build a dream for the world we live in. A little patience and understanding for our tomorrow. A little peace, a little sunshine, a sea of gladness to wash away all the tears of sadness.